Imagine a world without electric light. Every night, people depended on candles, oil lamps, and gas flames just to see in the darkness. Then, something extraordinary happened. A small glass bulb began glowing with electricity, and the way human beings lived would never be the same again. But who actually invented the light bulb? Was it Thomas Edison? Or was the story much bigger than one inventor? Today, we are going back more than 2 centuries to discover how humanity transformed electricity into light. Before electric lighting, darkness controlled the rhythm of everyday life. A candle could provide light, but it burned away. An oil lamp required fuel. Gas lighting was brighter, but it also required a network of pipes and a constant supply of gas. Scientists began asking a revolutionary question. Could electricity itself be used to create light? The answer would eventually change homes, factories, streets, businesses, and entire cities. One of the earliest major breakthroughs came in 1802, when British scientist Humphry Davy demonstrated electric light using electricity from a powerful battery. His work showed something remarkable: an electrical current could produce visible light. But this was not yet the light bulb we know today. Davy's early electric light was based on an arc of electricity between conductors. It could be extremely bright, but it was not suitable for ordinary homes. The dream of a practical household electric light was still far away. The idea did not disappear. Throughout the 19th century, inventors experimented with different materials and designs. The basic concept of an incandescent lamp was simple: heat a material with electricity until it glows. But making that glowing material survive for a useful amount of time was incredibly difficult. The filament could burn out. The glass could fill with air. The bulb could become blackened. Electricity itself was still expensive and difficult to distribute. Every problem needed another invention. One of the biggest problems was oxygen. When a material becomes extremely hot in ordinary air, it can oxidize and burn. So inventors realized that the glowing filament needed protection. What if the air could be removed from the glass bulb? That would allow the filament to become extremely hot without simply burning away. Better vacuum pumps therefore became an important part of the race toward practical incandescent lighting. In England, another inventor was pursuing the same dream. His name was Joseph Swan. Swan had been experimenting with carbonized materials and evacuated glass bulbs for years. By the late 1870s, improvements in vacuum technology allowed him to return to the problem with new possibilities. In 1878, Swan demonstrated a working incandescent lamp in Newcastle. His work was an important part of the development of practical electric lighting. But Swan's early lamps still had limitations. The filament did not last long enough, and the technology needed further improvement before electric lighting could become a reliable everyday system. This is an important part of the story. The invention of the light bulb was not one dramatic moment. It was a long process in which different inventors solved different pieces of the puzzle. Now the story moves to the United States. In 1878, Thomas Edison turned his attention toward a practical incandescent electric light. Edison understood that creating a glowing filament was only part of the problem. If electric lighting was ever going to enter ordinary homes, the entire system had to work. The lamp needed a long-lasting filament. It needed a suitable glass bulb. It needed wires, switches, meters, generators, and a reliable distribution system. Edison was not simply trying to make a lamp glow. He was trying to make electric lighting practical. The experiments began. Edison and his team tested material after material for the filament. Platinum was considered. Carbon-based materials were tested. Different threads and plant materials were examined. Many experiments failed. Some filaments burned out almost immediately. Others produced light but consumed too much electricity. The challenge was finding a material with the right electrical resistance, durability, and manufacturing potential. Behind the famous name Thomas Edison was an entire team of skilled workers and experimenters. glass had to be shaped. Filaments had to be prepared and carbonized. Wires had to be attached. Air had to be removed from the bulb. And every finished lamp had to be tested. Sometimes a filament took days to prepare, only to break during assembly. Other lamps survived assembly but failed during testing. Failure was not the end of the experiment. It was the next piece of information. Then came a major breakthrough. In the fall of 1879, Edison's team tested a carbonized cotton thread as a filament. The lamp continued glowing for more than 13 hours. Compared with many earlier experimental lamps that lasted only minutes or a short period, this was a remarkable improvement. It showed that a practical incandescent lamp was finally becoming possible. This is where the popular story of the light bulb often becomes too simple. Edison did not create electric light from nothing. Scientists had been experimenting with electric lighting for decades. What made Edison historically important was his work toward a practical, long-lasting incandescent lamp, and the larger electrical system needed to make such lamps useful in everyday life. Edison filed a patent application for an improved incandescent electric lamp on November 4, 1879. The United States patent was granted on January 27, 1880. The patent described an electric lamp designed around a high-resistance incandescent element, helping make practical subdivision of electric lighting possible. This was not simply a scientific experiment anymore. Edison was building the foundation of a commercial technology. So, how many years did it take to invent the light bulb? The answer depends on what we mean by invent. If we look at the broader history of incandescent electric lighting, the journey stretches from early 19th century experiments to practical lamps in the late 1870s, a period of roughly 77 years from Davy's 1802 work to the major breakthroughs of 1879. But Edison's focused effort to develop a practical incandescent lighting system began in 1878, and after roughly a year and a half of intensive work, his team achieved a lamp that could burn for many hours. And the first successful bulbs looked very different from the lights we use today. They were delicate glass vessels containing carbon-based filaments. They required electrical equipment outside the bulb to provide power. The filament became extremely hot and produced light through incandescence. There were no LEDs, no smart controls, no compact modern electronics. Just electricity, a glowing filament, a glass enclosure, and an enormous amount of engineering. In December 1879, Edison demonstrated his electric lighting system publicly at Menlo Park. People could now see something that had previously seemed almost impossible: multiple electric lights operating as part of a coordinated system. The light bulb was no longer an isolated laboratory experiment. It was becoming part of a new technological future. But there was still a huge problem. A light bulb is useless without electricity. Edison therefore worked on the larger system needed to deliver electric power to customers. On September 4, 1882, the Pearl Street Station in Lower Manhattan began operating as a commercial central power station, supplying electricity for lighting and power within a limited area. The electric age was beginning. For ordinary people, this was more than a new invention. It changed the meaning of nighttime. Businesses could remain open longer. Factories could operate with artificial light. Streets and buildings could be illuminated without depending entirely on flame. Electric lighting began changing the daily rhythm of modern society. But there is another important name that should never be forgotten. Joseph Swan in England had independently developed practical incandescent lamps during the same period. Swan demonstrated a working lamp before Edison's famous October 1879 breakthrough. The two men had developed important technologies independently, and their work later became connected commercially. So the honest answer to the question who invented the light bulb is more complicated than a single name. Many inventors contributed to the development of electric lighting. Humphry Davy demonstrated early electric light. Joseph Swan developed important incandescent lamp technology in Britain. Thomas Edison developed a practical incandescent lamp and, crucially, an entire system designed to make electric lighting commercially useful. That is why Edison became the name most strongly associated with the modern light bulb. So how did the early incandescent bulb actually work? Electricity traveled through the filament. Because the filament resisted the flow of electricity, it became extremely hot. At high temperature, the filament glowed and produced visible light. The glass bulb contained a very low-pressure environment, reducing the amount of oxygen around the hot filament. Without that protection, the filament would burn much more quickly. But incandescent lighting had a fundamental weakness. The filament had to become extremely hot to produce useful light. That meant much of the electrical energy became heat rather than visible light. Over time, the filament became weaker and eventually broke. The familiar moment when a bulb suddenly goes dark is actually the final stage of a long physical process. The story did not end with Edison. Engineers continued improving electric lighting. Filament materials became better. Manufacturing became more precise. Different lighting technologies were developed. Eventually, fluorescent lamps and other technologies offered alternatives to incandescent bulbs. And much later, LEDs would transform lighting once again. Modern LED lighting is dramatically different from the 19th century incandescent lamp. Instead of heating a filament until it glows, LEDs produce light through semiconductor technology. They can use far less energy for the same amount of useful light and can last much longer than traditional incandescent bulbs. Some modern lights can even connect to phones and smart home systems. Think about what began with a simple question. Can electricity create light? Today, electric lighting is everywhere. Homes, hospitals, schools, factories, airports, streets, smartphones, computers. Modern life depends on technologies that grew from the same scientific revolution. The history of the light bulb is therefore not the story of one magical night. It is the story of decades of experiments. It is the story of scientists who failed, improved, tested, and tried again. And it is the story of inventors who transformed a scientific possibility into a technology that could change the world. So, who invented the light bulb? The most accurate answer is not simply Thomas Edison. Edison played a crucial role in developing a practical incandescent lamp and the electrical system that made electric lighting commercially useful. But he stood on the shoulders of many scientists and inventors who had been working on electric light for decades. From Humphry Davy's early experiments in 1802, to Joseph Swan's incandescent lamps, to Edison's breakthrough in 1879, the journey took generations of scientific effort. More than a century later, we still live in the world that those experiments helped create. Every time you switch on a light, you are using the result of a remarkable chain of human curiosity, failure, invention, and persistence. The light bulb may look simple, but behind that little glass bulb is a history that took generations to build. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson of all. Sometimes, the inventions that change the world are not created in a single moment. They are built, experiment by experiment, failure by failure, and discovery by discovery.